Yes.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can see you. Yeah, I
Wait,
think it's just taking a bit of time to load. Is it okay? Can you see
because I
me?
can see myself, I can only see you.
Well,
So,
I mean, you are the guest, so I mean, I can see you.
really, okay,
Yeah, I can
right.
see you.
It's gonna be weird because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna look at you. Like, I don't know how my facial expressions are gonna be and everything, but
Oh, well, you can always watch the playback. Is what I'm saying.
yeah, true.
Uh, I mean, it's a quick one. We're just popping in with the different members of the team. I'm obviously
Yeah,
here with Lewis Alexander. I'm just going to pop his details here in the vid.
yeah,
And essentially just having a chat about how people are doing, how we're processing. I think, we've sort of said we've done quite well with sort of dealing with all that's gone on around us and still being inspiring and still being there and still being creative and still creating content and still, and but it shouldn't be taken for granted because, I think we're all sort of facing how we're actually feeling about things and the way it's
yeah.
affecting us. So, how are you? How are you
I'm
really? How are you really?
okay. I am a mixture of many different things. A little bit tired and groggy today, um, but also excited to do this.
Okay, that's really good. I'm
um,
really excited.
grumpy because I have to work at 1 o'clock.
We'll
Um,
do this is my lunch break as well. Just slipping it in.
yeah, but yeah, I'm all right. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
How
Okay.
are you?
I'm good. Well, I just want to thank you for being sort of under the microscope today, and being willing to sort of be open and honest. I think other members of the team also felt quite like, oh, I don't really know if I want to talk about working while black because of the
Yeah.
sensitivity of it, and maybe how that could be perceived, and how people might,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, are they talking about me, or like, oh, this is, I was at that previous company with them as well, and this is, I didn't see it that way, or they might disagree. I think that
Yeah.
there's no time like the present to talk about experiences in the way that they have shaped how we move in and out of spaces, what roles we
Yeah.
try to go for or not go for, and how sort of how that's informed the way in which we seek or we express confidence or
Mm.
assertion and different things because that is not just because it's a hot topic now. This has always been a topic, but
Yeah.
it's something that I think we should feel safe conveying. Now, obviously, I have a day role. I think people tend to think that we have, this is our full time job, and
Yeah.
thank you for thinking that because that means the content's really good. But at the same time, it also means that. You know, uh, we do have to have full-time substantive roles in the daytime to get us
Exactly.
to be able to afford to do this sort
Yeah.
of thing,
Yeah.
and also to keep our hand in the profession and to
Okay.
and be connected. So
Good,
so I
good.
thank you for being brave enough to do that. Did you want to just introduce a bit about yourself?
Yep.
Tell people.
So where do I start? Okay, so I'm Lewis. I'm 34 years old.
Oh,
Um, I
age.
I like to say my age because some people think I'm a bit younger.
Okay.
And I don't know why I don't want to appear younger, but hey. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm the Health and Education and Resource Development Officer at Black Beetle Health. I also do other things. I work in customer service for a private healthcare company, and I've just started that about a month ago. Um, and my background is in mental health, psychology. So I did my undergraduate degree in social science, and I completed my master's degree in psychology last year. So I'm very,
Hmm.
very passionate about. Woo, hallelujah! It is weird saying that now, though. Like, it's weird saying that I have a master's in psychology because it's
I
something that
know.
I thought I would never
You never
achieve.
have. I know.
So I have to keep saying that with pride, and yeah,
To help yourself
um,
believe it. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All right. So I guess what was your professional journey like? Because I know that you also did a bit of French. I know you've worked in other
yeah,
capacities as well. Feel
yeah.
free to say what capacities were. I don't want to out you. I
Okay,
know, but maybe you don't want to talk about those. But
okay. So I think, well, we can talk about my professional journey. Like my first job ever was I started off as a hairdresser. I wanted to when I came out. I
I
wanted
forgot
to
about
be
that.
yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to work in a very very gay environment where I'll be accepted because I was so scared when I came out.
Mm,
Um, but then I realized that I enjoyed doing it, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me like a full time job. I wanted to do it for
hmm
fun. And then I did various like admin and customer service roles. Worked for Transport for London for 12 years. Um,
Oh.
and but in that time, I was working full time, and I thought, I'm not happy here. I want to work. I
Hmm
want to specialize in something else. I want to
hmm
do things where I'm happy. And so I decided to learn French because I just wanted to learn a new language. And my mum spoke Creole, and she wouldn't teach
hmm
me. So I
Because of
learned,
what your mum's saying, Lucian, right?
yeah, St. Lucia, my dad's Dominique.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of get close to that. So I learned French, but I didn't know where that was going to take me. I was thinking about being a translator or something like that. But I've always been interested in the mind and psychology. And in college, I did psychology for a little bit. And that was the only subject I really liked.
And what did the cohort look like? Was it people like you? Was it mostly female, male, white, black? What do you mean?
In my
What was
college, because
demographic?
it was it was a mixed school. There was a lot of black people there. So there wasn't very many black men. I think I was the only black male
And
in
where was
my
that? Was
class.
that East London?
In East London, yeah.
Right. Okay.
There was many women, and psychology is the field of psychology and counselling is very female dominated, but it's also sometimes very white female dominated, and it sometimes also depends on what class you're in. Sometimes you might have some more opportunities because you're of a higher class, because you have more money, you have to course and all that sort of stuff. But as I said, I left that and I became a hairdresser, and then eventually and it took me a while to actually get back into after doing the French, and I thought I'm going to actually, and having gone through my own personal experiences and stuff with mental health, as I've shared, I was passionate about the mind. I was passionate about social issues and things like that. And I thought, hold on, let me just change up my degree. And I made it an open degree in modern languages and social science. And that was really eye-opening, because I think for years, I just lived in a bit of a bubble. I didn't really think about racism much, because I don't know, I kind of just blotted it to the back of my mind. But when I studied social science, I looked at so many different things like oppression and inequality. I looked at how black women are perceived as well. I looked at one of my studies.
Sarah Bartman.
What's that?
Talking about Sarah Bartman and how they sort of studied her shape, and and said, oh, this should be performative, this should be for display, and what that meant for the sort of not idolization, but the sort of objectifying or objectification of people of color. That's a prime example.
Definitely, no, definitely. So we looked at that, and even part of my studies as well, I interviewed some people who were from a different country, who had immigrated to London. I looked at their identity, if they felt British, and that was quite eye-opening as well, because I never really living in London and having a British accent and stuff. Obviously, I faced racism in my life, but it probably would be a lot harder. Yeah, it's a different type of discrimination, and
I wonder if, being based in East London, particularly, I don't want to give the exact location away. People can find you. But I think there's different bits of East London, that I think are really sort of diverse in that way, and it feels safe. It feels like you're perfectly okay. I mean, might that have contributed to that feeling of not really thinking about race?
I think as well, because where I grew up in Silvertown.
Giving it away.
This is fine. I don't live there no more. But on the walls there was like people spray painted BMP. I did face a lot of I was made to feel like I didn't belong in England. Like the kids were in their own country and things like that. But as I got older and I moved to Plaistow, that really wasn't an issue, because there was just lots of black people. And I think times have changed a little bit where I didn't face overt racism. People would be calling the N-word in the street, like when I was younger. And then I surrounded myself with this gay bubble of different friends from all different shades and everything. So I was living in that life, I didn't know any better, or I was too busy partying as well and trying to live my life.
To be honest.
And my eyes are a lot open now. And, even I can give you an example of when I was worked as a hairdresser, it was, although I wanted to live in that gay bubble and I had the gayest job and I felt accepted, it was part of me because I used to work for Tony and Guy. And being a black man in a white hair salon, it was, my workmates were good, but there were times where I would question, I wasn't sure if it was me or if it was them, but you had a client, you'd wash their hair or whatever, and they wouldn't really talk to you. But as soon as they get to the seat and someone else serves them, they're like, well, smiley. And I'm like, why are they being like that? Like, what's wrong with me? So is it just me? Is it because of who I am? I don't know.
And I think you do go a long time wondering that, and it's
Yeah,
such a not a dangerous place, but it's such a
yeah,
disheartening place to be, of not
yeah,
knowing where you stand. You walk in a place, and I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday, and I said, something's come full circle for me
yeah,
recently, where for years I thought that was me. I thought it was
yeah,
because of something I had done. It was something
yeah,
that I had failed to do. It was me not trying hard enough. It was me not being in touch enough, or maybe not doing my research enough. And come to find
yeah,
out it had nothing to do with me. And actually,
yeah,
others also became very aware and like, oh, right, yeah, no, I've been to that as well. That's
yeah,
that, and it was just such a cathartic experience to hear other people talk
yeah,
about it. And so when you're in a situation where you're the only person and you're left wondering, I mean, that can be
yeah,
quite detrimental to how, you walk into new workspaces and how you interact with
yeah.
people.
It's true. I mean, and you know, what, I remember a friend who was also a hairdresser at the time. He said to me as well, like, because I was speaking about like working as a receptionist in one of the hair salons, and he was like, "Oh, but we don't want to have a black person like representing a white hair salon." I was like,
There we
"Oh,
go.
okay. Do
There we
you feel
go.
like that?" So that
Mm,
was kind of interesting.
mm. That's
No,
unfortunate. I mean, I guess I want to ask, you've gone right into sort of stating some of the barriers that you faced, sort of
yeah,
in that industry, and I'm wondering, right now in your own professional development and different things that you might deliver, we've had conversations about not being familiar with maybe delivering things or feeling a bit apprehensive.
yeah,
Why do you think that is? Do you think that those barriers are race related? Do you think it's due to a lack of experience and exposure? What do you think those barriers might be, sort of now in your profession? Obviously, you're working with Black Beauty Health now and doing lots of
yeah,
work, with us, and but you also operate externally in other capacities as well. Do you think that
yeah.
that has an effect? Like,
I think that's the thing. I think with me, I don't think about that so much now. Like, if someone's going to accept me for who I am, because I just don't care. If they don't like me, they
mm,
don't like me. Um,
but that's
but
a
in terms of
journey.
like,
That didn't
huh?
happen overnight. That
No,
didn't happen overnight.
but yeah, like now, if you don't like me, I don't like you. It's fine. Or no,
Oh,
like
oh,
not.
oh.
Just, no, if you don't like me, it's okay. You know, I'm not going to be trying to make. I don't need to make you like me. I just
Right,
need
right.
my truth and be who I am. That ain't going to change. I'm black. I'm gay. Whatever.
Mm,
But I think since then, I've always worked in areas where. So I worked for Transport for London, which was very diverse.
mm.
It was very like, I guess like we had people from all different backgrounds, but a lot on the front line. So I mean, I would say the higher you go, the less.
Yeah,
Um,
naturally. That's what you see
yeah,
across the board right now.
but I also work for HSBC, which is also very diverse. The place where I work in now, obviously, Black Beetle Health is very
Mm.
diverse, and working for the private healthcare sector as well. That business has a lot of diversity, and so I don't really face those microaggressions anymore, I guess.
But what you're
But
actually saying is that in places where there is loads of diversity, you can't
yeah,
see evidence of that being a problem. And that's exactly what the point is.
yeah,
For somebody who's not been as lucky as to be in really diverse places like you, they'll be feeling it. And that's also part of the point we're trying to make is that,
yeah,
obviously with the theme is working while black, what does that
yeah,
mean when you're in a diverse place? What does that mean when people around you look like you and you have,
yeah,
options of people to go to and ask, what
mm,
the advice could be, or, what does that advice look like when you're asking a white colleague to advise you and give you some feedback on whether or not you thought it was you? It's it's not
yeah,
terrifying. It's stressful. It's
yeah,
stressful to go to a white colleague and say, "Oh, could you let me know? I just had a meeting and I'm just wondering, like, was I too
yeah.
okay?
Well,
No,
that's
no, no." And that might be a reaction, or they might say, like,
yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't have said it like that. Okay,
mm,
both of those are equally unhelpful, and you
yeah,
can't really get your bearings. And that's what I'm trying to
yeah,
accomplish through these conversations this week. Is that
yeah,
you've hit the nail on the head by saying, because you've been in a situation where things have
yeah,
often been diverse, your
mm,
reaction, your sense of self, how you feel right now about people, is very
yeah,
different, and it won't be the same as other
yeah.
people. And
But
it's important to keep that in mind.
with that being said, because it's such a diverse workplace, and I've seen it with other people. Because with me, I get on with everybody, and I'm friends with everybody.
You're a nice guy.
What?
You're a
What?
nice guy.
I'm a nice guy, but I see things like, and I've also seen where situations where somebody has felt discriminated against, but because we're in such a diverse workplace, some people are not. Will just say, "Oh, you're playing the race cards," and
Mm,
not acknowledging what's going on for the person and why they feel that way. So that's been quite hard, because it's all right working in a diverse workplace, but then you have to look at, I don't know. Thanks, Adelaide. Like, people don't don't recognize that racism and discrimination still exists. Just because someone doesn't call you the N-word in your face does not mean that they don't.
I think that's what's really, important to point out, particularly in the UK. I think there's lots of celebration and conversation and an extensive dialogue around the American experience and sort of what the police are doing to people. I think, in my personal opinion, they can kill you physically, but they can also kill you professionally. And it's possible to take someone down professionally and take bread out of their hand and bread off their table by killing them professionally. And it's very subtle at times. I think it's very, it can leave lots of questions. You leave the day of work, you've got loads of questions of, how was that day really? What's going to happen to me tomorrow morning? And that can be equally as detrimental, I think, to somebody who is, otherwise just trying to find their way. So I guess I want to ask, how, with all that as your background being very diverse, and you've worked in banking, you've worked in customer service, you've worked in the private healthcare sector now. So it's how has that informed the work you do at Black Beauty Health?
Well, I think I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes me more passionate. Definitely more passionate, because I guess for me as well in my life experience, I think I've been quite privileged in terms of like things like access. Black
privilege.
Things like in terms of like accessing mental health services, having counselling. I was very lucky because I got it for free. Like when I had a little trouble with an ex-boyfriend when I was 23.
Specific.
It was a bit of a hard time for me, and I was able to get counselling straight away because of the place I worked in. And
because of the place you worked in, because of what you had access to. You don't.
But if you grow up in an environment where, if you're working in a field where that's not accessible to you, you don't have the funds, family's telling you,
that's for crazies.
About our feelings, just get over it, you're strong, then you're not gonna be able to express yourself. You're not gonna be able to talk about those feelings, emotions, and deal with those things head on. And I guess that's why I like working at Black Beauty Health, because it's all about spreading the message and empowering people and stuff. So
I'm gonna ask you now, how are you getting on with sort of the lockdown? And I'm going to couple that with what's been going on and sort of lockdown restrictions and things. And I want you to be honest, because I know the truth.
So it's been, wow. Okay. So, obviously, I got furloughed from my other job back in March. So that was a very stressful time, because I was like, where's my money going to come from? Like, what's going to happen with my future? I want to do my counselling course that I'm going to be doing in September. How I'm going to afford to save and pay for that? But then I managed to sort things out. I got my furlough pay and everything like that. But it was still a weird time, because I had just spent all this time at home. It was also fun. I'm not going to lie. It was also fun because it allowed me to actually go for walks. I was walking like a day. I was colouring in. I was playing my video games. I was doing things that made me happy. But then in April, two of my family members passed away. So it was hard, and trying to be strong for my mum as well was hard as well, because she doesn't go out much. She has various disabilities and things like that. And so I felt like I needed to be strong for her. I needed to be emotionally strong for her. And that was hard. And then obviously I found another job working at Babylon Health. In the private healthcare sector, and that's been a journey, because having to adapt to that life again, to working full time, and just being overwhelmed and learning everything, but also socially distant, learning and doing the job has been kind of hard, because now my bedroom is my place of fun, place of sleep, place of work, and that I don't like that.
And what's the demographic at Babylon Health?
Very diverse, like
again, diverse.
All different areas of the company. There's diversity, which is great, and it's good to see as well. And they also have various channels. So they have like an LGBT channel. Everyone like talks and obviously before COVID and stuff like that. They have a Black Lives Matter channel as well, where everybody's in it. Like it's not just like Black people. It's just all different shades, and people like caring and taking the time to educate people and educate themselves and others. So I liked that. Obviously, like, I'm not going to be in customer service forever.
Hmm.
But it's I couldn't believe that I actually found another job in lockdown. So I'm quite grateful.
And in health as well, which is really
Yeah.
amazing. Right, so we have about 10 minutes left. You know, we
Okay.
promise to keep this quite short, but I want to find out sort of how you, I guess as a person of color, how you
Yeah.
think you work differently to other practitioners. So someone who is white, English, you know, privileged background, maybe middle class, you know, and when they walk into a place and they do their job and they're confident and they do that, how do you
Yeah.
work differently when you enter a space? Maybe you're facilitating a group, you know, how are
Mm.
you, you know, what's that like?
Okay. I think I'm more sensitive. I'm more wary about different issues, and I think I like to be, and I try to be understanding of different types of people. Um, but I think as well, if I have a client, I might be worried about how they might perceive me.
Hmm.
Um, I
Definitely.
think whether it's gay, black, or whatever, if I'll be accepted, if they want to work with me, or if they feel like we might be on the same page, or it's all about connection sometimes. And sometimes you want, if you might not feel, they might feel that as I'm a black man, I might not be able to relate to them, or as I'm a
Hmm.
gay man, I might not be able to relate to them. So,
That's a big one.
but 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 as much as I do like think about that, I also think I'm still gonna just do me. And that's
Mm-mm.
all I can. That's all I can do, to be honest.
Mm.
And
So true.
um, yeah,
So obviously there was quite a dilemma with trying to understand what best to do in a situation where, you know, with the Black Lives Matter movement and, you know, do you stay
mm,
neutral? Do you protest and go out there and speak on it? Do you leave it up to white allies to take the torch? You know, what was
yeah.
your sort of your view on that and how did you handle that? What did you do?
Okay. Oh, there's so much I can talk about the Black Lives Matter movement.
Well, you
Um,
got 8 minutes.
okay. First of all, I want to say that with the black, you've got to be wary of donating to various companies. You don't know where they go. First of
Mm,
all, I was part of the protest. I was socially distant. I took my bike with me. But I know that, yes, I've still put myself at risk.
mm,
But it got to a point where I was sick and tired of not doing anything about speaking up for racism.
mm,
Um, and yeah, in some ways I did put myself at risk, but I'm fed up. And I think everybody is fed up, everybody is just tired of keeping it to themselves and not speaking. Have to let people know what's going on. Just because
mm,
they color, just because they don't see someone calling them the N-word to their face, it doesn't mean that discrimination doesn't
mm,
exist. And what's going on in America, it obviously in America it's a lot, it's probably worse than the UK, but I've been racially profiled
definitely,
myself.
definitely.
And I don't know if I should talk about it here, but
This is the space
I
to talk about it.
yeah.
This is a
Um,
safe space.
when I was 20, how was I, 25? I was with two of my white friends, and we were doing something that we all shouldn't have been doing. Yeah. So we all should have been arrested, right?
What?
We all should
What?
have been
This
taken
is
to.
serious.
No, no.
Maybe this is not the same. Maybe
Oh,
this is not the place to talk. No, no, this
well,
is the,
it's
still
all
the
right. But
place. It's
I'm
still the
legal
place.
now. It's fine. But they took me in only. They let my two white friends just go. They just walked down the street, and I was asking them, "Why are you not taking them in? Like, why are you only taking?"
Mm,
Um, and the policewoman just kept on telling me to shut up. I was being very cooperative. I was not shouting. I wasn't being rude. I was just speaking in a normal manner, how I am now. But she wouldn't let me talk, and I just thought, okay, I see what this is about. Okay.
mm,
Um, but anyways, going back to Black Lives Matter, I think that hopefully this will educate other people, not just about like white on black racism, but all different types of racism. And we can look at how we can move forward, how we can live together in unity. That would be my ideal, like, well, fingers crossed.
mm.
But
I'll have a bit of a cheeky question to ask you, and
yeah,
you can choose to decline this based on the potential sensitivity of the question. But
yeah.
what have you seen in your workplace in response to BLM?
In my current workplace,
Hmm.
I have seen, well, as I said, they created a channel that's called Black Lives Matter.
That's true. You did say that.
And a couple of people have messaged me and asked me if I was going to go to the protest with them. I already went, so I wasn't going to go again.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had gone, like, I think they were supposed to go last week, Friday or something like that. But we had a meeting as well, and the CEO basically said that they want to look at, even though we are very diverse, they want to look at how discrimination can affect people and stuff. Wanted our feedback and our input, which is great. You know, it's good that a business, especially at the top level, says, you know, we want to look into this. How can we better ourselves?
See,
how can we make people's lives better?
it's interesting because you're saying that as a positive, but we recognise that there are people who say it's not Black people's job to educate people on what the issue is because it's not as a result of something that we've done. And it's interesting to see you take that sort of position on that when there are people who think quite the opposite, which is sort it out yourself, go on Google, read a book, you know, educate yourself.
I'm in two minds because I'm like, I want to spread awareness, but why should it be only my job? I'm tired of trying to tell other people what's going on because it's quite exhausting. As just person by myself doing it, and
But you chose to do it. You chose to help with informing people and providing.
So I guess I have to just do what I can do, and lead by example. And I don't know.
I don't think there is a right answer. So you know, I think you know, there is. That's a really tough one that I'm also still figuring out. I was on a call this morning with I guess a partner of mine, right? Okay, so Adelaide saying that there can be partnership working, and she reached out because she wanted to, and I don't mind shouting her out on here. It's Find My Sexpert, and her name is Francine Sharrocks, and she started that about 3 years ago, and she realised she was quite devastated by what's happened. Obviously, a white English woman based in Manchester, so she was seeking. She had looked through her Rolodex, essentially her list of practitioners, and realised that she didn't have any representation of people of color practitioners in, you know, even though she's supposed to be like a national expert on this. And so she contacted me on LinkedIn and basically asked, you know, could you, maybe look through the personal statement that I did, and just, for Black Lives Matter, I've thought a lot about it. I didn't want to just put something out there randomly, but she wanted to be better at what she was doing, which is services signposting, and essentially you could basically type someone's name into her website, and it would come up with whoever's in your area to help with whatever you need in sexpert wise. And Sarah's saying here that we should make sure to be make sure information and experiences are accurate when sharing with others, and by sharing with other people. Yeah, absolutely. But I was happy to have that 30-minute conversation, with her today, just to ensure that, actually, I feel really good that she's contacted me, asked me if she wants to signpost me in my services. I think that's, and I was willing to put other names forward of friends, myself, and because I think that what she's doing is she's doing something actionable. She's actually being proactive, and she's not just saying Black Lives Matter. Leaves left stage, so she's actually saying, what can I do? What is it that I can do to help promote the work that you're doing? I'm not saying I want to duplicate it or take over it, but I want to partner with you. I want to see how I can support that. So that was really fantastic. Adelaide's telling me I shouldn't rush you because you're well worth it. But I'm aware you've got to get to work at 1, even if it is just across your bedroom.
Do you know what, as well, because I feel like we've only just touched the surface, but like...
I know. But I'm going to take Adelaide's advice, and I'm going to do. I was going to skip a few questions, but I'm going to ask you sort of the main ones, because I think that I really want to know what you think about this. Where do you see this going? Where do you see all that's happening right now between COVID and Black Lives Matter and social distancing and people speaking out on racism and discrimination and sort of the pushing forward of Black-owned businesses and Black endeavours? Where do you see it all going? What's going to happen?
There's a part of me that's hopeful that things will change. People are going to be more more clued up on how they treat people, or be aware of how their own prejudices, I can never say that word properly, how their own prejudices might affect them. Because I'm seeing it already within some of my friends who are not of colour, like questioning themselves, and that's great to see. We also but we also don't understand the Black Lives Matter movement, because it's like, what about all lives matter? And it's like, that's very frustrating to actually talk about with people, because we can only protest about things that we know on, and if we know that we've been treated badly, we need to stand up for it. But there's a part of me that thinks, okay, this might be just a thing that happens and nobody does anything about it. It might just be like a period of 3 months, we're saying Black Lives Matter, and we're trying to make a change, but then it's all forgotten about, and I don't want that to happen. And that's and because, as you said, it's all well and good just like standing there and doing a protest, but you've got to do more. You've got to raise in any way you can.
And Lewis,
Yeah.
When do you feel most productive?
When do I? When do I feel most productive? When I'm well rested.
Mm.
When I'm not overwhelmed. Sometimes I love to be in my room and I'll love to play my video games and relax. So when I've relaxed and had my chill time, then I can be more productive, I think. When I'm feeling sexy.
Hey, hey, one less button, one less button. Let me not do that because this is
When
posterity. This will be recorded.
so when I'm doing something that I love, and this is why having this conversation is so cool, because you don't get to have these conversations all the time. Um,
Absolutely not.
yeah, you're working in a place where you love and you're passionate about, because it's all well and good, just doing a bit of admin and stuff, but that's not like not what you're
Mm,
passionate about. So yeah, when I'm feeling passionate and when I'm loving life.
that's amazing. That is amazing. Do what you love, and I guess um, uh, what do you want people to take away, I guess, from this conversation? We've spoken about Black Lives Matter, we've spoken about
Yeah,
lockdown, we've spoken about your journey into mental health through your own mental health experiences, we've spoken about your diverse work placements that you've had and settings in
yeah,
which you've worked, and how your own cultural background has influenced that. And
yeah.
but what is that one thing that you want people to really take away from today's conversation? Even though I'm obviously cutting it a bit short, we can always go on and go on and go on. But yeah, lunchtime
That's
in it.
it's like I feel like I'm in a beauty pageant. Like, I just want to say world peace, but but
World peace, world peace.
I think people need to take. I think it's all about educating yourself, for real. It is about educating yourself. If you don't understand something, always ask. Obviously, I'm passionate about mental health, and I want to fix everybody, and I haven't got enough time to fix.
Mm,
I'm also trying to fix myself. Like, I'm on my own journey as much as everybody.
mm.
Um,
And when you say educate yourself, do you mean is that black people or is that white people that need to educate
so
themselves?
yeah,
Thank
because
you. Okay.
I was going to talk about like cultural perspectives on things, and we haven't got enough time. But we
We can do that
also,
next week. You can. We can.
yeah,
What time? What time? When you available next week? Let me write it down because just give me a time and a day,
Saturday.
and we'll
Oh,
get you
actually, no,
back on the platform.
I've got mani pedi booked in next Saturday, but no.
All right. Maybe the following week.
We definitely need to educate ourselves as Black people, especially with this Black Lives Matter movement as well. We also need to look at how we react to the police as well.
Mm,
I have seen videos, and the police are not always guilty. I have to say that, because we can't just sit there and say every policeman is out to get us, because
mm.
not every white person is racist. Do you know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So we
It's the
have to
racist
be
ones we're worried about.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to actually like realize as well that it's a two-way street. We have to help each other. We have to help ourselves. Like, yeah. And to those people that don't see color, that's all well and good, but
Whatever that means. Yeah, I know.
because
So what do you think we need more of during this time, and what do you think we need less of during this time?
we need more love. We need more understanding. We need more empathy. Definitely. What do we need
And
less
less
of?
of?
Less of hatred,
Mm,
ignorance, obviously violence. Um, yeah,
mm,
I think
mm,
because yeah. Oh yeah, less anger as well, because we can all be
mm.
angry about it, but that's not gonna. We can turn
Change
that
anything?
into passion, and we can do something about it rather than fighting or shouting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Lewis, I'm sure that 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 34 minutes is not nearly enough. How can people get in contact with you? If you want them to get in contact with you, how can they get in
Okay.
contact with you?
There's several ways, but
Oh,
but the professional on the professional
oh, I see.
platform.
Jeez.
I've got my,
Jeez.
but that's more of my my fun part. But if you want to email me, it's lewis.alexander@blackbeetlehealth.co.uk. Now I hope I've got that right. Shall I type it in?
No, I think that was okay. People can play it back. It'll be on IGTV. Although if you don't know what it is, they can go to the website,
Yes.
blackbeautyhealth.co.uk, and they can see all the staff emails and trustee emails and advisor emails. They can email anyone. I encourage people to sort of be open. We can't
Yeah.
promise we're going to get back
That's
to you
true.
because, you know, this is all voluntary, you know, and believe it or not, none of us is getting paid. Oh, you've done it. Oh, you got that as
Yeah.
well. Okay. If you want to find out, actually, that's really useful that you put Lewis or Alexander at Babylon Health, because what
Oh
Lewis does in
shit.
his day job. Well, no, it's fine that you did that because
Black
it's also
people help.
about signposting, and you know,
Yeah.
you do a lot of signposting and sort of pointing people in the right direction. So if they happen to email you, you know, that is
Yeah.
you know, essentially your other job to do. So please get in contact with Lewis in whatever way you can. You know, Lewis is such an asset to me as a person. You know, he was my friend before he was my colleague.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to sort of bring us back to that place whenever we have a chat, because you know, I knew Lewis from the good old days,
Yeah.
but
Let me just put
and
this wasn't meant to be my email. Yeah, there we go. That's the right
That's
one.
that email as well. And then just follow his work on Black Beauty Health's social media, along with the rest of the team, and learn more about what he's doing in his journey. And just, yeah, I think that should be it for today. Do you have any questions for me
Um,
in the last 30 seconds before you
how
go
you
off to
doing? How
sleep?
you feeling? What?
I'm good. Thank you everyone for joining. No, I'm good. I'll have to ask someone to interview me as part of the series as well, because I realise that I'm interviewing everybody else. You know, I have my own perspectives on that as well. But thank you for being my guest today,
Right.
and for taking the time to. Oh, those who are just joining. Alex is just joining. Oh, you missed it. You have
Adelaide
to
said,
watch
how
it. You have
good
to
were the
watch it
good old
back.
days? The good old days were
Oh,
fun until Harvey left me and moved up north. But hey,
I mean, the good old days was some good old days.
yeah,
That's another episode. But yes, but thank you so much for being my guest and for being under my microscope today. And I hope that some people have taken away something from this. If anything, continue to follow the work that we're doing. Check us out on all social media, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter as well, and support the work that we're doing, and other organisations like the one that we're running. So, you know, thank you so much again, and I hope you have an amazing day, everyone.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Black Beat to
Bye.
Health. Bye, Lewis. Have a good
Bye,
day. Okay.
Andrew.
All right.